Albayula, Transylvania, September 1441. A priest, Greek by his eyes, his beard and his profile, but Catholic by his robes, was riding hard towards a drawbridge and a gate. The grey stone cathedral of Albayula, his destination, towered like a guardian of Rome in the centre of the Transylvanian citadel. It was late afternoon and the sky was deep with rain. Father Popescu held out his palm and caught the first frail drops as he arrived. His urgency forgotten for an instant until a sexton emerged from a gated entrance beneath the high-arched vestibule of the cathedral to receive him. Sliding deftly from his palfrey, he grasped his rosary and pressed his lips to the bishop's jewelled finger. Muttering something about the difficulty of the journey, the shortening of the day, and all in the certainty that the whole thing was bound to be a source of irritation, the Bishop of Albayula opened the vestry door and ushered him in. "And how are things at the royal court? How is Prince Dracul?" "He's doing his best, Your Excellency, but it's not easy. Wallachia is difficult. Yes, I know." "Is it burial rites again?" "Worse," Popescu said, apologetic. The bishop gestured to a chair, his mouth a slit of disapproval. "I don't see what could be worse than Romani rites." He glanced sharply at Popescu. "What is he doing about it this time?" "Nothing, I suppose." "Prince Dracul, I don't think he's aware of it. I'm sorry, Your Excellency, could I have something to drink? A little water will be enough." A cloud of incense, the remnants of a mass, hung about the air. Vaulted rafters curled above their heads. The bishop stirred, declared himself thoughtless, and called the sexton in. "I have tried speaking to people, but it astonishes me how little they will actually say." Popescu put down his cup as though it might shatter in his hand. "What it is, you see, is that people are digging up their dead, exhuming them." "From church ground?" "Yes, a few weeks after burial, usually." The bishop murmured an exclamation. "What in God's name for?" "I wish I could say." Popescu pulled out a small roll of paper from inside his cassock belt. "I've been receiving letters from the members of the diocese, although I'm not sure how many of them are genuine." The bishop turned his eyes, sharp, judicious, a shade of flinted charcoal, on the priest. "You have received letters and this is the first I hear of it?" "I didn't want to make it a matter of contention." "Between Dracul and yourself?" the bishop asked, taking the letters from Popescu's hand. "Between Prince Dracul and the church," corrected Popescu. The bishop thumbed through the letters. "They look genuine enough to me." "Some of them, perhaps, although I don't really think the accusations are justified. Dracul is a good man, Your Excellency. He needs our support." "Good man does not mean much. He attends mass at your church, I suppose?" "Regularly." The bishop wrinkled his nose. "A political manoeuvre. What he needs is to think a little less about his friends the Greeks and a little more about who is keeping him on his throne." He lowered the bundle of letters. "Have you tried containment?" "Locking the gates, yes. Yes, I have, but in my view the practice needs to be stopped at the root. That is the thing." "And is there such a thing as a root?" "I think there is. Do you?" "What I'm saying," said Popescu, stumbling on his words, "is that in Wallachia a death, any death, is not simple." "Oh, I agree entirely. It's not simple at all. But once a corpse has been interred in the hallowed ground of a churchyard, to remove it is an act of violation, a heresy." "But people do this because they are afraid, Your Excellency, not because they want to violate the law. That is the point. That is the root of the thing." The bishop handed him the letters and clasped his hands together. "Father Popescu, a Wallachian is a Romani, and a Romani is a pagan. Doubtless they would rather burn their dead in their own backyard, but I hardly see what fear has to do with it." A bird fluttered in the rafters. The bishop rose to close the vestry door, which the sexton had left ajar. Popescu caught brief sight of his face, arrested in the twilight of the nave. The position of the Church is perfectly clear. Either we acknowledge vampires, sorcerers, and the strigois of the Romani, and thereby expose ourselves to the confusion they will bring, or we resolve things as we have always done. By ignoring them, Popescu said, shifting forward. The bishop smiled thinly. But if we don't help these people, what purpose does our office have? The Catholic community is growing, Father, but we are far from what we should be in terms of numbers, and I doubt the Orthodox clergy would lend their weight to any form of intervention. Then you won't give me your blessing to try? The bishop shook his head. I doubt my blessing would be sufficient. Besides, you can't perform a Catholic rituale, if that was what you had in mind, on a member of the Greek Orthodox Church who does not recognise your authority to do so. He paused. Charming man, Dracul, isn't he? Hard to know what's going on in his head at the best of times. But he is almost a Greek. Popescu's face tightened. The bishop pushed his hands against his legs and drew himself up. The Greeks have always liked to think that they can extract themselves from the grasp of evil without the guidance of the Church. I'll write to Cardinal Cesarini and let him know what's happening, but I doubt he'll be surprised. He waited for Father Popescu to stand. Have you ever questioned him about his beliefs? Oh, well, no, I wouldn't dream of... The bishop interrupted him. Then we will wait and see if things get any worse. He paused at the vestry door. He is aware of it, you know, Prince Dracul. Perfectly aware. Popescu turned his face towards the bishop. The sexton exited the nave, his cassock brushing stone. The rain had stopped.